Hey guys, I had a little bit of time today and got all our cleaning done, and I'm going to do a couple videos here, some informative videos. First one here, I want to start off with kind of talking about the industry as Pacmans as a whole, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there as far as who breeds and what breeds, and where do these animals come from, and how are they coming about, and artificial breeding and hormonal breeding and things like that. And there's a lot of bad information and just bad views out there because people are just not informed. So that is partly, I think, my job, that we should be doing videos and getting the information out there to educate. Hence, what I'm going to do a little bit today. A lot of people don't realize is there's very few breeders. There's actually very few breeders of Pacman in the country. There is the Frog Ranch. There is the Frog Father. We obviously do breeding here as well. We are nowhere on the scale of those two gentlemen, great breeders as well. And there may be one or two other smaller breeders around. None top of my head are coming to mind that actually produce all the time. We do 1 to 2 spawns a month, and I would consider us a small breeder. So keep in mind that two main producers, and we produce as well, are putting out probably 98% of the Pacman on the market. So if you go to Petco, your PetSmart, your local pet shop, any reptile shows that are around you, jobbers, wholesalers, all those Pacman are coming from a few people. So they're all distributors. So be careful when you're talking to people and getting information. I mean, make sure that the information is correct. There's a lot of knowledgeable people out there, but it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a pyramid scheme, but these frogs have a lot of babies, to which the producers up top make a lot of babies, and it trickles down to where it gets to you guys, no matter if you buy from a breeder, if you buy from a jobber, if you buy from people at a show. They're all great sources to, but you want to get as close, at least for me, I want to get as close to buying from the breeder as I possibly can. Now, with that being said, a lot of the other breeders do wholesale only. It means you need a business license, you need a tax ID, you have to prove that you are actually buying and reselling. Here, I'm big enough that, I should say, I'm not quite big enough that I really have to worry about just that. I enjoy retailing and wholesaling. We do both. I enjoy retailing straight to the public, to you guys. You could go on thefrogdepot.com. You could see the myriad of morphs that are either produced by us, or I also work with the Frog Ranch, and I also work with the Frog Father to make sure all the morphs are getting to you, because it's impossible for one person to breed them all. But literally every single thing Pacman-wise that comes off our site is coming from one of the three of us, with probably 80% or maybe more of that site actually is bred right here in-house. So, that being said, we went over the whole kind of myriad of things. Very few breeders. Doesn't mean that there's not great distributors out there. There is great distributors out there. They buy wholesale from one of the breeders, to which they can keep them individually and do the care, and then get that out to you guys. So, again, be knowledgeable where you're buying it, how you're buying it, where the animals came from, and know that there's very, very few breeders. Now, why is there very few breeders? I get questions every single week about breeding, and we talked the other video. I'm not going to teach you how to breed, because it is ridiculously time consuming. It is very expensive. You need a lot of equipment, and you have to care for a lot of frogs at one time. And then once you get to that point that you figured out how to care for all these frogs at one time, well, then you have to find a home for them to go. You have to have the connections, the wholesale, the retail. It is extremely time consuming, which is why I do not give this information out, because I believe that if somebody wants to go that distance and put that time in, then they have to research and do that themselves. And it takes years, guys. It takes a lot of years. So this brings you to one of the last points I'm going to touch on this video. Hormonal versus natural breeding. Can you breed these frogs naturally? Absolutely, you can. It's been done. It is nowhere near as consistent, but you can put them through estivation, you can cycle them, and you can probably get them to breed naturally People have gotten lucky here and there in the past in having a spawn. It is not impossible. Is it much more difficult? Absolutely. It is absolutely much more difficult. That takes me to hormonal breeding. We do use hormones here. There is nothing wrong with breeding using hormones if you do it correctly and you follow the steps and you are safe with it and you know what you're doing. Hence why I'm not going to ever tell anybody how to do that. It is very time consuming and you really have to pay attention, and I just don't believe people should be playing around with recipes on frogs and this and that, and it's just not worth it. But I'll tell you the upside to this, and it's very easy. It is very safe to do if you know what you're doing. AZA, the the zoos, the big zoos, and the whole country, the whole world, have developed the hormonal breeding and have worked with this on dozens of amphibian species, so they can bring them back from extinction or keep them in captivity. It's one of the main conservation tools for amphibians, and people don't realize that because they don't get to see the inside of that. I worked at AZA Zoo for a decade. I know the ins and outs there. It is used pretty regularly on some projects, and it is a game changer. It is very safe. A lot of people think, oh, it's going to bring deformities. It makes a weaker frog. It doesn't. It's all myth. What does bring a weaker frog is bad husbandry, which we are going to make some videos to go over some husbandry of these little frogs. Deformities, well, we haven't had wild genetics in probably 13 to 14 years. So yes, the pool does get a little low. You have to be careful with how you're breeding them. So I think the gene pool, how you care for these animals, the nutrition that you're giving the adults, there's a lot of factors that go into this, guys. You can't just slap down and be like, oh, it's bad. Because it's not bad. I'm going to take you to my last point. If you couldn't breed these frogs by hormonal breeding, and you had to rely on maybe they would spawn here, maybe they would spawn there, you couldn't commercially produce them. You couldn't get them on the market for everybody to enjoy. And then all of a sudden, a strawberry frog, which is $25 to $45, is now $500 to $600, because now you might get a spawn from somebody who gets lucky once a year, and they're now ridiculously expensive because they're just not out there. It's supply and demand, guys. If you just don't have it, the price is going to go up. It's a rarity. So then that cuts out a lot of people, because I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that most people are not going to spend that much money on a strawberry. And even a regular green would go from 20 to 30 bucks all the way up to $200 to $300, and they're just not going to spend that money, unfortunately. Then you take something that is truly an amazing frog, truly a great pet, amazing paint jobs to play with, and you then take it out of people's hands because it's just not affordable anymore. So I just think I wanted to take this time, educate you guys a little bit on the breeding, where's everything coming from, because I've seen some absolutely just horrific answers in some of these Facebook pages, and people just not informed, and that's what we're here for, to help inform you guys. So hopefully I answered a little bit of questions today about the industry, where are these frogs coming for you guys, how they're bred. I'm not going to speak for the other two breeders and how they breed hormonal or naturally, but they produce a lot of numbers, so I'm willing to bet that they probably do the same thing and breed very safely hormonally. Again, I'm not going to speak for them. I don't know. I know I get frogs from both of them, and they're great frogs, great product, great people. But it's very safe. It's not like this horrible monster that people think it is. But when people start playing around with things that they don't know how to use, that's when it becomes dangerous. And that is why the recipe is not out there for everybody to know. So hopefully that answers a little bit more questions for you guys about what happens behind the scenes with the different breeders, where these frogs are going, where they're coming from, and why the prices are the way they are. And I think it just basically makes a market to which everybody can enjoy something. So I hope you're enjoying the videos, guys. Check us out on thefrogdepot.com. Always there to help you out, answer questions. We have a very nice list of all the different Pacman morphs. We are going to make some videos on going over the morphs and what to look by, because I find that there's also a very lacking knowledge or key out there on what makes what a what as far as morph goes. And then I'm going to show you in another video here really soon how we keep our stuff here, and when it comes out of the water, what we do with it. How do we ensure the quality is going to get to you guys? So again, I hope you're liking the videos we're putting out there. If you are, subscribe down there to the page. Let us know you like it, and just keep supporting us, and I'll keep making some videos for you guys. Take care, guys.